Once again we are back to the chapter of planning, and here today we are going to discuss about how planning is being done. We have already learned planning is thinking before doing, or it is deciding in advance. Even when we are thinking before doing, it is not a very easy task. It cannot be simply done. It has to pass through various steps, and then only we are making the decision, we are deciding in advance. So, today's class we will be seeing what are the steps of planning, what are the steps of planning or the logical steps, or one after the other there are certain activities to happen in thinking before doing. So, that is what we are going to see the logical steps in the function of planning. How do we plan? And we are starting with the planning process. We are starting with the planning process. Planning process, when we are talking about the planning process, it has to pass through various steps, and the first step we make in planning or we take in planning is regarding setting of objectives. Setting objectives is the first step in planning. What is setting objectives? What is objective? You have to understand that. What is objective? Objectives are the end points. Objectives are the end points, or objective are those points which, or those things what firm or the organization want to achieve. So, every organization has to set an objective. In planning, that is the first thing to happen. We have to decide what is the end point we have to reach, or decision regarding decide the end point we have to reach, or we have to say what organization want to achieve, what organization want to achieve, what organization want to achieve. And that is what is happening in setting objectives. We decide what is the end point, or what is that the organization want to achieve by thinking, by deciding something in advance. What is that organization want to achieve? What is the end point where we have to reach? At the end of this particular function, what is that we are going to achieve? What is the end, which is the end point we are going to reach? That is what is happening in setting of objectives. And you have to understand that without this one, planning will not be of any sense. There must be an objective to achieve. We have already seen the feature planning is goal oriented, or it is based on achieving objectives. So, there must be something to achieve through this particular function. So, setting that end point, deciding what we have to achieve by doing this is to be done first. That is the first step in planning process, setting objectives. And when you are setting objective, it should be clear. 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 By saying it should be clear to departments, it should be clear to the units, it should be clear to the employees also. I said basically it is done by management. So, when management is deciding what we have to achieve, there must be clarity regarding that to the departments to the units. Within departments there can be units, they must know it. The employees who are working must know it. So, in simple words, the total organization must have an idea regarding what they are going to achieve by doing this particular activity. So, it must be clearly stated to the departments, units and employees, and only when they are having an understanding, they will make sure that they works towards the achievement of that particular objective. They work together for that, and it is not enough that managers are just conveying this and sitting idle. They also have something more to do. Managers must contribute ideas and participating in objective setting process, or managers have to make sure that they have to participate, they have to contribute ideas, they have to participate in objective setting. They have a clear idea regarding what is to happen. So, there must be their active participation in setting of these objectives, and it must be clearly made understandable to the employees, departments and units, and together they have to move towards the achievement of the objectives, or achievement of what organization want to what is organization going to do, going to reach towards the end. So, that is to be done. So, that is also to be understood when we are achieving objectives. I said setting objectives, first and foremost thing is, it is talking about the endpoints we have to reach, or what the organization want to achieve, and these objectives are to be clearly stated. These endpoints, or what we have to achieve, it has to be clearly stated to the departments, to the units, to the employees very clearly. Then only they will work towards that. And once they are clear about that, once the managers are giving clarity regarding the objectives, the result is very clear, or what is expected out of them is very clear, and automatically they will work towards that goal only. So, it becomes easier in achieving the endpoint, achieving the objectives. So, that is what we have to keep in mind. The first step is setting objectives, deciding upon the endpoints, or deciding what organization has to achieve, and it has to be clearly stated, and that makes things happen easily in order to achieve the objectives. That is the first step in planning. The second step in planning is developing premises. Developing premises. We have already seen that planning is something which is concerned with the future. Planning is futuristic. So, it is uncertain in nature. We cannot predict the exact thing what is going to happen. So, many a times what we are doing in planning is trying to assume this may happen, considering various aspects. We will try to foresee. Okay, this can happen, or this may happen. So, based on past experiences, based on present situation, managers develop assumptions. Managers has to make assumptions, and it is this assumptions which is going to act as the base for what we are going to do. So, when we are saying developing premises, those are the assumptions made by manager. Assumptions made by manager regarding the future, about future. And these assumptions are called premises. Assumptions about the future are called as premises. So, developing premises means assumptions have to be made by the manager regarding the future. As future is uncertain, we have to develop certain assumptions regarding the future. And these assumptions act as the base material, As long as we are not aware what is going to happen, it is only this assumptions which are going to act as something base. If we know that this is the thing going to happen, we can clearly say, okay, this will happen, so we have to prepare like this. But in planning, we are not aware what is going to happen. So we are having certain assumptions, uhangal. We need to have assumptions. So these assumptions act as the base material for planning. And one more thing you have to keep in mind is that when you are making assumptions about the future which act as the base material, it must be same for everyone inside the organization. It must be same for everyone inside the organization, and there should be total agreement towards the assumptions. Everybody must follow the same assumption. Not everyone can follow individual assumptions. For an organization, when it is moving towards a common objective, assumptions must be the same. So that is what we have to understand in the second step. Second step is developing premises. Developing premises means assumptions had to be made regarding future by the manager, and these assumptions are called as premises. So assumptions which act as the base material has to be same for the whole organization. So that is the second step in process of planning.